All right, so I got a few more questions. We'll go through them and see what I recommend. Remember, this is all my opinions. I'm not diagnosing or telling you what you need to do or should do, just my opinions. Um, all right, so guy wants to know how his diet looks. He sees a lot of mixed uh, opinions about protein consumption. Some say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Some say 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. He needs to change his diet so he can make some visual changes and improvements. He is 6 foot tall, 197. He's still holding fat in the midsection, but getting leaner. Doing 40 minutes of cardio at 110 to 120 heart rate, 7 days a week. He's on a 4-day split, chest, legs, back, shoulders, and arms. He eats high carbs when training, except on shoulder and arm day. Right. Says my current macros for training days, 404 grams of carbs, 59 grams of fat, 220 grams of protein. Non-training days, 172 grams of carbs, 58 grams of fat, 150 grams of protein. So first things first, I would say, again, this is not knowing anything about your body fat distribution or really how much body fat percentage you are. Probably not a lot. I mean, you're 6 foot, 197. I mean, you might be in the 15% range. Um, so when you drop your carbs, don't drop your protein. Like protein should be the same. Again, 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. The reason why I don't say 2 grams of protein per body weight for general population is because it's really hard to digest, and that will sometimes make you lack carbohydrates or other nutrition that you need in your diet. If you are enhanced on anabolics, we can handle 2 grams, no problem. I mean, we can even get up to three grams, but it's really dependent on the person. So, how well does the person digest protein and what type of protein? Uh, and then, so like you should just keep your protein 220 grams protein both days. The fat seems to change. You're ballparking it, so I wouldn't say 404 grams of carbs. You're just 400 carbs and then 60 fat technically. Yeah, if anything, I would say if you're going to change like something on your lowering your calories on your non-training days, then just change your carbs and or your fats. Probably I would do lowering your carbs a bit, but then also lowering your fats a little bit. I mean, you can bring it down to 50 on your non-training days. Uh, so, and then 150 grams of carbs. But that's what I would do. If you can consume more protein than 220 grams, I'd say go ahead and do it, man. It's protein works very well to help maintain and build muscle, helps you with feeling full and satisfied. So it seems like you are trying to make some fat loss come off because you are talking about holding fat in the midsection. And I don't know how far along you are in your training, so uh, just keep your protein up as high as you can. When you start getting indigestion or constant bloating and distended stomach, that might be too much protein, or that might be the source of protein. You're also looking at the types of carbs. If you eat things like potatoes, you're probably going to be bloated a little bit more just because they're a starchier carb and they're a little bit bulkier. Usually, if we want to diet, potatoes is a great way to help reduce the amount of food volume you can actually consume. Rice, on the other hand, you can just continue eating rice. You can eat a lot of rice. Plus, potatoes will have a good amount of potassium in there to help with your sodium potassium ratio. So, yeah, that's what I do. All right. I go to bed anywhere between 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Set an alarm for 4:30 a.m. Last 2 months, I've been waking up every night from 2 to 3 a.m. When I wake up, I have to pee. When I'm awake, I cannot go back to sleep. I don't take stimulants other than a small amount of coffee before workouts, or usually around 4 p.m. I came off of peptides 6 weeks ago and thought that would end this sleep cycle. When clocks change, I thought, so when the time changes, he thought it would change the sleep cycle. So it's 5 to 6 hours of sleep, and I have to wake up to pee, and I can't get back to sleep. Um, he's currently taking 10 milligrams of zinc picolinate, 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate, 40 milligrams of P5P before bed. Um, it's pretty common. I mean, how much fluids are you intaking before you're going to bed? Because your body sends off um, a signal whenever you have to pee. And if you have too much fluid, your body's resting, digesting in that parasympathetic mode. So you're going to have to flush out some fluid. And unfortunately, that happens to everybody that I know who is in the like who's bodybuilding or in the fitness industry, or also like how much sodium are you taking throughout the day? Sodium can help, and carbohydrates. So sodium and carbohydrates can help retain the water. But sodium chases water. So again, if you're, it really depends on that sodium potassium balance. The magnesium is really good at 400 milligrams. You can go up even higher, like 600 milligrams. Uh, but you're kind of doing a ZMA stack is what you're doing. Um, and that's okay if you're able to get into that REM sleep and kind of maintain that deeper sleep. You can always use melatonin. Like, I mean, on 5 to 10 milligrams, it's totally fine. It does not shut down your own natural production of melatonin. You can stay on it as long as you want. It's a great antioxidant as well. But you want to take melatonin and don't get the extended release. Just get the regular one, but take it at least like 2 to 1 hour before bed. You could take it on the full empty stomach, but you need it to be able to start working. If you take it right before you go to bed, like 30 minutes, it's going to take like an hour to 2 hours, depending on your absorption rate and metabolic process. It's going to take it a while to break down and actually be used. So whenever you need it, you might feel a little bit groggy in the morning because like the cycles that you're trying to get into with REM sleep, you might change your sleeping cycle. Another thing is like colder the temperature, the better. So if your room isn't as cold, then you're probably going to seem to wake up a little bit more. A cool, dark environment is going to be better to aid in that deeper sleep. Um, I don't know what peptides you're on. I mean, they do sell peptides. The Delta sleep inducing peptide or aminoasylum has the Relax PM blend, which is really good. I like that one. You definitely feel it. I'm not a big fan of taking GABA. I don't like it because it gives me that pins and needles feeling, but I do like Finubit. So Finubit crosses the blood-brain barrier a lot easier. Um, and taking that before going to bed helps just ease the mind. If you're a more anxious person or you have a lot on your mind, if you have financial issues, that usually keeps people up, adds a lot of stress, and they start thinking about those things at night. Um, or if you have projects that you have to do and complete that you put off, a lot of times that's what keeps people up. I'm not a like I don't to a certain degree like blue light and phone activity can stimulate the body, um, and maybe increasing catecholamines. Uh, but I think, and I just think that it's in your case, it might be water intake. Again, how much are you consuming? Like I consume like a gallon and a half to 2 gallons a day. So if you're kind of holding a lot of water by the end of the day, that's probably it, man. You can try and taking taurine before going to bed, like 6 grams of taurine. Um, I've even heard people use glycerol powder to help as well because it helps to uh, keep the helps to try to put the water into your muscles to kind of um, hold on to it. And again, it's not a stimulant. Um, Other than that, you can get blood work done and kind of see what's going on with your hormones. Get a cortisol test done. if the place will allow you to get a cortisol test done like afternoonish, then I would do that. It's pointless to get one done in the morning. That's when your cortisol is probably going to be the best, unless it's super low or high based on your issues during your sleep. You want to see you want to see what your cortisol levels are going before going into the evening, I would say, because you want it to spike and you want it to come back down. Um, I think that's it, man. But yeah, some carbohydrates like before bed. People often claim eating a banana before bed helps them. And bananas are also packed with B vitamins. Uh, but I don't do any type of like reading before I go to bed or like nightly routine. Technically, I don't. Besides like besides like injecting GH, having a meal high in protein before going to bed, uh, and then brushing my teeth, and I'm still on my phone before I go to bed, and I sleep fine. Maybe that's the GH that's helping, but um, again, look at your water intake toward the end of the day. Um, Curious about vitamin C dosing. I'm at 3,000 milligrams a day, so 3 grams a day. I've seen research point me in this direction. What do you try to get in? So I've seen high doses of vitamin C orally for allergies, anywhere between 5 to 10 grams. The problem is the majority of the vitamin C that we take, ascorbic acid, it sometimes causes diarrhea. So you might have an issue with that. The more you go up, so you have to titrate up and split it throughout the day. It's water soluble, so it's in and out relatively quickly. You can get some with bioflavonoids or polyphenols. Uh, that would be even better. Or you can even get like quercetin alongside with vitamin C. I think that's, again, it just dependent upon your goal. But vitamin C is a really good antioxidant. I mean, we don't use it to stop scurvy nowadays. I mean, I don't know the last pirate I've seen. So, uh, but yeah, are you using it for like allergy purposes? Or use it for blood thinning? I mean, it has a blood thinning effect at a really high dose as well. Um, we're using it for a diuretic. Again, high doses is also a good use for diuretic. People pair vitamin C up with dandelion or Eula ursi to help with getting some water off. And yeah, helps with gut motility. Again, because if you take too much, it can increase diarrhea. And you don't have to take it with food. You can take it without food since it's water soluble. But yeah, I mean, I do 1, 2, 3, 4. I do six. So I do two, two, and two. So 2 grams, 2 grams, 2 grams split up throughout the day. Some people say if you take it too close to your workout, it's an antioxidant, and now you're going to inhibit the repair and the inflammatory process of all the prostaglandins that are helping you bring inflammation, localized inflammation to the area that you worked out in, so you can have muscles. I don't think if you're natural and you have a very, very anti-inflammatory diet, then probably I would say, I mean, I would just not take it close to your workout, be pre or post, just to be safe. I think it's really person dependent, but if you're on anabolics, it doesn't matter, man. You're on things that just kind of make some of those ideas um, negligible. So, right, you start taking a hey man, I started taking a non-stim pre-workout again. So he's taking nuclear pump from Peak Performance Labs. Oh, that's like a huge like pump serum and what's the other one? Uh, Gorilla Mind. They're non-stim. It's kind of like that same label. Something I immediately noticed was that during my training sessions, resting heart rate was a lot lower than other trainings, and it also got lowered faster. Yeah, man. I mean, that's kind of the point of vasodilators. It opens up uh, your veins and arteries, and it helps to relax them, right? So, potassium nitrates are used as like the the blood pressure medication, right? So like, potassium is a really great way to lower blood pressure too. I would say you So according to this label, I mean, citrulline, betaine anhydrous, glycerol powder, tyrosine, taurine, alpha GPC, pink Himalayan sea salts, not enough in my opinion, uh, for all of these vasodilators. A Minto pump, which is another extract that's going to be a vasodilator. Epicatechin, pine bark extract, another vasodilator, and technically used to lower blood pressure, and then bioperine to help with the absorption of all this. I mean, you got a hefty dose of pine bark in there as well, but I mean, you're looking at 8 grams of citrulline, 3 grams of 250 milligrams of pine bark, which like 300 is a really hefty dose. The Mento pump, you're looking at 300 milligrams, so that's a good dose. Taurine can also help with uh, fluid balance, so that may also reduce blood pressure. Uh, um, but yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen. So like, if you have high blood pressure, taking some of these non-stim pre-workouts, it's going to help get you back in a healthy range. You can totally take that. That's fine. If they're after consulting with your doctor. But if you're trying to get, let's say, like complete strength, like 1 rep maxes and stuff in the gym, then I wouldn't take a product like this. If you're going to take a pre-workout, you would actually want something with more stimulants or tons of tyrosine. So like, 8 to 10 grams of tyrosine, alpha GPC at like 600 milligrams. You want some like choline within there, but you really want to like just excite your nervous system uh, and get that sympathetic nervous system drive. Because like if you've ever tried to like squat with these with your blood pressure lower, you can start to pass out or get that faintest feeling. But you're also not going to be able to lift a lot of weight because you're not going to be able to again activate your CNS as well, just because your body is so relaxed. So you really won't see powerlifters ever use these things at its full potential. They'll usually stack it on top of a very high stim or another androgenic um, uh, steroid pre-workout. So I mean, again, you can increase the sodium in there, but there's so much. Like if you're doing the 2 scoops, you have 500 milligrams of pink Himalayan sea salt. Just I mean, you could add more salts in there, but again, you're you're not going to have like the vasoconstriction effect of sodium, of like a high sodium, because you're 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 also not getting all the other things that come along with the sodium, fats, processed foods, carbohydrates, all those things that cause blood pressure issues to the general population. If you're isolating it to strictly vasodilation purposes, and sodium will help with that vasodilation in products like this. All right. Weightlifting effects on digestion. So, um, when I'm not lifting regularly, I tend to get frequent diarrhea and loose stools. Coffee will trigger it. Sugary juices will trigger it. Protein shakes will trigger it. Eating too early in the morning will trigger it. Pretty much any morning is triggering it. When I'm lifting hard and regularly, the issue is gone. It's like everything's fully absorbed. Nothing triggers it at all. I don't get constipated, but I go less. The water content of the stool is drastically less, barely even need to wipe. Uh, do you know what could cause this? Is my body uptaking nutrients more efficiently, or does physical activity reduce inflammation in the intestines? No, man, it's like the total opposite. Like, so I'm going by assumption here. I'm assuming when you're working out, you have high intensity and a moderately long session. Your stomach during a high intensity training and maybe even a high heat environment, uh, you do cause some gut permeability, some digestion. The digestive system needs to stop while you're training really hard because it needs to pull blood to the rest of your muscles as you're working out and to your head so you can think and concentrate. So it stops digestion really on any of the larger foods that it has to break down. Amino acids and like HCBD or HBCD, geez, those carbohydrate powders, like it can easily digest those, no problem, right? It's barely any work for the body. But um, so what you're, and you said you don't get constipated, but you go less. I think constipated is if you don't go every day. So in the medical field, I'm pretty sure you're constipated if you don't go once every week. Like once every week is like constipated, um, which is nuts. I don't know if they updated that or not, but that's just what I remember. Um, so you might just have issues on your non-workout days because you're not stimulating your CNS. And so now it's kind of like a fight or flight mode. You're stimulating it, but then whenever you get resting and digesting, so your parasympathetic nervous system starts to come in, you you'll get some of the like irritability from your gut. So it's more of a like might increase gut motility, trying to heal itself if you've maybe had too much intensity during your workout because um, it's trying to get food out of the body and rest, like kind of like regenerate itself. Um, but and then you might just not be drinking enough or water. Some oh no, your water content is yeah. I mean, your body's just you're probably drinking enough water on your lifting days as well. Um, yeah, yeah. So I think it's your just intensity, man, and that kind of like just leads you into having irritable bowel syndrome like issues whenever you're on your off day and you're not stimulating your CNS. I mean, I would say get a good like soil-based probiotic. Glutamine is a good thing as well. Um, I wouldn't recommend any fibers. Like I wouldn't recommend like psyllium husk fiber. You, I mean, I would do more of um, like a glucosamine or yeah, like a glucosamine fiber, but on your days off, maybe first thing in the morning. Yeah, man. I don't know. As long as there's no blood in there, you're fine. Uh, but yeah, stomach issues are so hard, man, to because like what we know more about outer space than we know about our gut microbiome is like what these PhD gastroenterologists say. It's like we're learning something new all the time about our gut microbiome, and that's what's causing this. So like something is making your gut microbiome off on your non-workout days, and it's probably due to your intensity on your workout days, and maybe the foods you're eating, the voluminous amounts of food. I don't know. Yeah, no. Ah, okay. Last one. All right. Or is there any difference between cheap eggs and expensive eggs? Like cage-free, brown, or the white ones from Walmart? Um, I've been having bizarre reactions to foods. Is it better to have the expensive eggs? Um, I don't know. I buy regenerative, organic, farmed eggs, and they're like seven something for a carton of 12. I'm a firm believer of letting uh, chickens that can, a firm believer of eating eggs that chickens are roaming around, eating insects, roaming if they're eating garbage. Uh, I prefer them that way because you're going to have the best uh, omega-3 profile and the uh, choline content in the eggs. You can get all the extra vitamins and minerals that the egg will provide when they're stuck in the cages, or if they say they're like they're if they're free caged or cage free. Um, that doesn't mean that they're also not supplementing with things like soy or vegetarian diet. They're not vegetarians. So if you do that, you're going to get a higher amount of omega-6 in their eggs, and because you possibly get the soy in there as well. Try to get. like research a company, but I mean, I think regenerative organic chicken farms, that's what I use. They have to practice, they have certain practices they have to follow to be regenerative organic certified at these farms. And I've seen it, and uh, there's no better egg. So again, I would do that 100%. Spend a little bit more money. I don't really know how much eggs go by because I don't look at the other eggs prices because this is all I get now since I moved here to Texas at HEB, and that's what they get. Um, yeah, but when it comes to like meats and stuff, I'm not getting grass-fed, grass-finished. It's hard for me to believe a lot of these products unless I'm going to a farmer's market and I talk to the farm that is letting you buy the quarter of a cow or half a cow or full cow. Um, because my meats that I buy, they don't have fat on them, right? The most minimal amount of fat, and that's where all of the real issues are is in the fat. If they're grass fed but not grass finished, right? So um, I think that's where that lies. If you're doing like carnivore diet, yeah, grass fed, grass finished because you're not getting any other like lipid profile in your diet. So um, I don't think you should do carnivore anyways. Anyways, that's it for today, and see you guys next time.